he don't think about Russian people at all, because the real genocide, it's about the genocide of Russians, indeed, in Russian Federation, and it's external his deviations with Ukraine, but he have the same tortures in prisons in Russia. It's usual, and it's a big problem indeed for society, because Russia don't have the civil society at all. They don't have the civil society, and it's a
all the intellectuals were killed under Stalin. All the intellectuals for centuries.
No. They were not killed, but they have to stop their voice, to sit quiet. And when you have the deal between the state and the population, that I will pay you money, you will have money more than you have before, and you will not be the participants of building of the civil society, you see? It was a negotiation between the population and the government. So they have 10 years of high oil prices, and it was the period of the greatest corruption in the world, in the history. I mean, also corruption in Europe, first of all, because Putin corrupted all the elites of European political circles, you see, not only in Germany, also in France, also in Spain, also, of course, in Italy, of course, in Hungary. So Putin have enough money, and he make investitions to those corrupted politicians. And now we see the results. And Angela Merkel and Gerhard Schröder, they were also corrupted, as we see now. And this, the Nord Stream, this pipeline, gas pipeline, we and the United States, I mean Ukraine, United States, Poland, we spoke about this problem for 10 years, not for 8, for 10 years. And we tried to change the decision in Germany. But Germany was corrupted, and it's about money. It's not about principles. It's not about ideas. You see, it's only about money.
And it's still happening with China. Not with gas and oil, but with commerce, you know. And China is also could turn up, you know.
Yes, but China is also a little bit dictatorship for 2 billion people, or 1.5 billion. It's also not an example for the free world, how to communicate with the nation, how to build the country. And so China,
and still we're doing business with them. We're like, because the idea was always because the idea was always you know, to keep economic ties so the world is at peace, because if there's a mutual dependency, then nobody will start a war. And I think that's true to an extent, but in this case with Russia, it's definitely was now proven wrong. So and of course they put all their pockets full of money. It's so easy. People are not, I think people are not slightly aware of how easy it is to put a suitcase with $1 million into a hotel, you know. So
and
nobody knows.
I lived for 10 years in St. Petersburg, and it was usual for me to see, I was among them. I hear what they say. I hear this version about Crimea War in the early 2007. And I hear it from Russians, and they say that, okay, Ukraine, we just won the opportunity for Euro 2012 in Ukraine and Poland. And at the same period, it was just a meeting with Russians, and they say, well, okay, you'll now fulfill this project, and after this we'll try to thunder, they say, to thunder Ukraine, you see. And
So you're saying
we
that in
don't understand.
2007 they were already, you heard talks
Yes, yes,
about
it
getting
was.
Crimea.
Yes, and it was understandable because from year to year they put forecasting in TV channels, all channels, all the day long, those movies about the Second World War. It was something horrible because it was so many those movies, and it was the feeling that Russia don't have enough nowadays modern heroes or situations to be proud about. So they have to reference to those their great history, of course, the victory in the Second World War, but it was the common victory for Ukrainians also. And Russians for 20 years became to separate there, and they were the main contributors and the main beneficiaries of this great victory of coalition, indeed, not only of Soviet Union, but also of Britain, also of USA, of course. And thanks to Lend-Lease, Soviet Union fulfilled this chance to beat Germans. If America won't give this Lend-Lease to Soviet Union, uh, we could have another way of history.
You're talking about the Eastern Germany,
Not only
the DDR, former Eastern Republic of Germany.
No, I mean that you see now Russia have only one historically meaning of the date. It's the victory of Soviet troops in the Second World War. But those dates were about 70 or 80 years ago, you see. And it's impossible to live in the country which always looks past. Country must looking forward, because to see the perspective where to go and how to develop.
Like Ukraine,
Yeah. And when Russia saw that Ukraine became just a little small example for Russians, because Russians before 2014, before Crimea, it was usually we have the railway communication. We have each summer a lot of Russian tourists to Crimea, and more even than now when Crimea is occupied. You see, and it's a stupid behavior. It's deviant behavior. You see, and why such situation is started in Russia? First of all, Putin is a specialist in. He was a former KGB officer, and he managed the country like an officer of KGB, and it's obvious.
Yes, he doesn't want this alternative. Ukraine is the alternative Russia. Ukraine is the Western, the European Union kind of Russia that all European Union wanted. Everybody wanted Putin to be a Democrat and to change Russia and to make it a thriving, amazing nation like all the other nations in Europe with freedom. And he can't bear it that Ukraine is doing it as the small Russia. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And Russians are seeing it. They're coming to Ukraine and they're seeing it and they're talking about it, and it's a threat to him. A threat. Yeah,
that's correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. Very interesting. So tell us about the situation now, and especially how can we help? We can put a link here, and when later on when we publish this, we can talk about what you want to be on it or not. And we would love to have you again, because it's so interesting what you talk about. I'm so glad you joined us. It's
Thank you very much. You're welcome, and I try my best, of course, to show for those who like to hear the truth about the situation. So what we need, First of all, I have to thank European Union, America, I mean the States, Great Britain, Japan, and all our friends for those aid, for those feelings and dreams about Ukraine, because it's very necessary that we are brothers in arms. And nowadays the situation, how to say, we don't understand how long will be the active phase of the war, because Russian troops have, it's a joke situation, Russian troops have strong logistic problems in Ukraine, and it's very difficult for them to attack, and so we're working like Ukraine, I mean, working like a coffee machines, and Russians are just coffee beans, you see. And but of course we left people also, and our people is the main our value, and the main what we are fighting not only for territories, we are fighting for people, for our people. And we didn't have heavy weapons that were opposite or competent with Russians, I mean artillery. Now we have enough guns with American and Britain help. I think that in a week or 10 days we will show some surprises in the line of the front. But about civil problems, I don't know exactly about problems of refugees, because it's not my field of what I'm doing. We are now trying to close logistics for 3 departments of our territorial defense troops. Now they are not just civil structures or departments, they became a part of Ukrainian army. And so main what we need is nowadays drones, I mean quadricopters, and drones as mono wings, so flying wings, for intelligence in not only on the first line of the front, but also for artillery. So drones, tactical equipment in general, tactical medicine, and
what is tactical equipment for me?
Diesel generators, also power banks, also, of course, and so on and so forth. There's a long list of what we need, but you see, it's this speciality of the war, that there are a lot of volunteers here in Ukraine. We have some experience from the beginning of the war, I mean 8 years. And so this campaign is more effective for Ukraine, yes. And but for example, those how to say, devices for night vision, for example, it's difficult to find now in Europe. We bought what we have on the market at all, Ukrainians, I mean, so it's difficult to find night vision nowadays. We need those gimbals for our
gimbals.
for our wings, yeah, because we have such a department that fulfill the task of intelligence service in troops, with quadricopters and drones. Of course, we need helmets. Of course, we need armor jackets. But these two items is the problem of the state, and nowadays we try to solve it in Ukraine. Try to find some pieces of steel with the same characteristics. We have a lot of metallurgical plants here in the region, indeed, and it's no problem with steel, but the steel must have his armory qualities, and so if it's not technological steel, it weighs, it's heavy, and it's hard for soldiers to wear it. And we are looking, of course, for armory of the 5th or 6th level, helmets also. Maybe binoculars, optics, some optics, field optics. That's all. We don't need food. We don't need water. We don't need clothes even. I mean, something special. Yeah, only
in your city, but, you mean? Yeah.
No. Yes, Zaporizhia. Yes, Zaporizhia now it's general mediana of the situation in this region. It's a big
like
region.
An average situation, yeah.
Yes, it's a big part of Ukraine. The south of Ukraine is about, before 2014, it was the main most inhabited region of Ukraine, not even the central of the country, not even Kiev region. Here it was the most populated region. But nowadays, it's about, together with Dnipro, it's about 4 or 5 million people living here. You see, just in the center of the war. And for refugees, they have very special problems because, first of all, they need the help of psychologists, because they have a lot of victim disorders, and they spent horrible weeks in Mariupol. Zaporizhia now is consolidate those traffic from Mariupol, from Berdyansk, from Melitopol.
So you have a lot of refugees in your city.
Yeah. Each day we get about 3, 5, 7,000 people each day.
Wow.
But we try our best. All of them, refugees, they are welcomed, of course. They have enough food, medicine, medical services. All clinics and hospitals in Zaporizhia, and a military hospital also, they're working all over the day as usual. And we try to live, and we have to live because we are looking for victory also.